It's certainly a subject that is incredibly important for the people involved because of medical privacy laws, which both Meghan and Harry really relied upon to protect them in this scam they've been orchestrating. King Charles has had a pretty difficult couple of years thanks to losing both of his parents and also his horrible son trashing his family and his wife. I will always believe that there is real hard evidence of the truth of the births of both of Harry's alleged children. Considering that Elizabeth was born in the US, it may be more difficult to prove, especially considering that Meghan Markle took 6 months of maternity leave. I suspect, though, that their lies are going to come out, but not maybe as fast as all of us want them to. Now, I'm not a stupid person, and I'm having a very difficult time taking the leap that they would sit across from Oprah in front of an international television audience, pretending to be pregnant with a fake baby bump hiding what inside was reported as being a $4,000 maternity dress. I mean, the sheer deception of Meghan's alleged pregnancies, and playing both of them up and using those pregnancies as excuses time and time again is just too much to handle. Being honest about Meghan being unable to conceive was definitely the best way they should have gone about it. But by using a surrogate, the babies born from another person who is not royalty, of course they wouldn't be entitled to be in the line of succession. Often I have been curious about how in the world they could have two kids with red hair when those traits are carried on a set of recessive genes. Unless Meghan also somehow miraculously carried those genes, it would be impossible. And if she did, it would still only be a maximum 50-50 chance that each child would be born with red hair. Maybe Meghan was just so excited to have kids that seemed to be indisputably a part of the royal lineage that they used another woman's egg along with Harry's sperm. Now, this would fall in line with Meghan's overreaction to people wondering what Archie would look like, as well as keeping the children hidden away from anybody who may perform a DNA test. It's sad, though, that she decided to identify as black or biracial or whatever after she conceived Archie. She planned a prop for fitting in with the royals instead of one that would support her new truth, so I guess she figured it was better to hide those kids away forever. I suspect that in the beginning the royal family did not know anything about the fact that they wanted to use surrogates, and then once the super injunction was in place, the royal family was caught in their web of lies. And I believe there is a loophole that's going to allow the royal family to expose those lies eventually. Some people may be curious as to why the royal family seems to be waiting for the right moment. We need to remember, though, the royal family lost both Prince Philip and the beloved Queen in a very short period of time. Why do they need to be put through the difficulty that is to come in the last years of their lives? Once Meghan knows that she's about to be exposed publicly, you know her narcissistic personality is going to explode. I'm just glad that the late Queen is not going to have to put up with what is to come, and I'm also thankful that the King has Queen Camilla by his side to support him and the rest of the royal family too. They are united. Many people out there, including Meghan, underestimate the King. They misunderstand his empathy and goodness as weakness, and that I think is a big mistake. In fact, I think these characteristics point to King Charles's strength and fortitude. The royal family is going to come out of this whole mess weary and united. Meghan and Harry, though, are going to lose their titles. They're going to lose everything. They're just going to be plain old Harry and Meghan. There won't be any Duke and Duchess titles for them to hang their hats on, just like Elizabeth and Archofficial will not be called Prince and Princess. What will happen to Harry's kids is still a mystery. Once they are exposed and their titles are taken away, the kids are not going to be valuable to Meghan anymore, so who knows what she'll do. It probably boils down to the question of titles and the line of succession in using a surrogate. Now, this is only speculation, but it could have been the issue that inflamed the duo in the first place. Maybe the truth is they couldn't find a way around the rules, so they ran away to the US because they were trying to avoid what would have certainly been a lot of media scrutiny surrounding the use of surrogates. The way I understand it, the laws when it comes to surrogacy in the US are a lot more lenient than they are in other countries. And when we add the monarchy into the mix, it gets a lot more complicated. In fact, Meghan and Harry are very selective when it comes to what privacy they want and what intel they want to release to the media. At any rate, the thing I keep going back to is that they chose to go on Oprah's show as an expectant couple, so they made it clear, at least to me, that at least one of their kids is supposedly born from Meghan's body. At the same time, I suspect that Meghan and Harry are finally understanding just how much damage they did to everybody as a result of all their shenanigans. It was like an explosion, and then they thought they would just be immediately forgiven, and with all those demands, as if they were the ones who were wrong, as if somehow the royal family deserved all the nonsense that Meghan and Harry put them through, as well as people all around the world, actually, who respect the monarchy. Harry and Meghan don't deserve to be forgiven. They deserve to face the consequences of their actions, and I think they're going to have to do a lot more of that after the coronation is over. I suspect that the king will hope to eventually fix the damage that Harry caused, if and when those two finally get their divorce. Until that happens, we all know that Meghan's going to have an ultimate mind and financial control over Harry. And tragically, I assume that includes kids that they may or may not have. King Charles needs to do something to put an end to all of this nonsense. He needs to lay some real ground rules with them. He cannot be seen to be flipping and flopping when it comes to the two of them. It has to be difficult, I understand, when it is your own child, but eventually these adults have to move on and make some good decisions for the sake of everyone in the British monarchy and people who are a part of it and support it, or I'm afraid that it is going to fall apart. Another thing is that you cannot expect to become king and still live a quiet life. Maybe that is still something he would ideally want, but still, considering the publicity that the British royals intentionally generate, they have to come to expect the scrutiny that this publicity generates. The scrutiny of tabloids is often not very kind. It can be pretty ruthless, actually. As an American, I don't really understand why, but that's the way it is. This whole war with the Montecito Moaners should have been met with a much firmer hand. It should have been nipped in the bud while they were still in the incubation period. Now I'm afraid it has grown into a full-blown infection, and it could be lethal to the monarchy as a whole. Considering the history of European sovereigns, we who lack royal blood do have the right to expect that respected monarchs have to be strong. Now, the late Queen was a perfect example of strength under duress. Her iron hand was nothing to mess with. Charles probably should have had more respect for his father's advice. Monarchs have got to be tough. Philip's beloved wife ran a smooth ship because she knew when to step up. She wasn't afraid of making those tough calls that some people might not be in favor of, and people respected her for that ability. For example, even though she was an animal lover, she deeply loved her horses and her dogs, she didn't spend all of her time playing with her animals in the garden, did she? Instead, she knew that she needed to rub elbows with world leaders, and she understood that the world was led by rough and tumble scoundrel types who could not be appeased easily. I think she really understood the lessons that were taught to Great Britain by Neville Chamberlain. But Charles often didn't listen to his father's smart advice to toughen up. If anybody understood the importance of strength and being tough, it had to have been the late Prince Philip. He was such a gift to his wife and really everybody in the UK. See, weak kings lead to destroyed kingdoms. If the surrogacy problem does not get figured out soon, along with taking away titles from the Montecito Moaners, there are going to be many people demanding an end to the monarchy. And I understand what is going on in this situation. I understand that Harry is a spoiled man-child who has always been appeased instead of having to put up with the consequences of his behavior. And that explains the horrible, nasty, obnoxious creature that we have had to put up with over the last 3 years. But still, this cannot be allowed to continue. That spoiled, whiny little brat going on and on about how hard done by he was is making a lot of people angry. If Harry does not get put in his place soon, I'm afraid the royal family is going to end up facing the consequences instead of Harry. More and more people are calling to end the monarchy thanks to the complete farce of Harry and Meghan, making a mockery of not only the royal family but also the UK as a whole. Harry comes from unspeakable wealth and privilege, but at the same time he whines at a time of great hardship for so many Britons. Maybe once the truth comes out, Harry needs to go hide somewhere like Siberia. I think he would deserve that. People do not want to see that smirk on his face anymore, or Meghan's Cheshire Cat grin. They could have done so much good for the world, but no, they wanted to be celebrities, and when that didn't happen, they decided to play the victims and throw Harry's family under the bus in the process.